All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're looking at a really bold new movement in Kenya. The goal here? It's nothing short of transforming an entire generation of future leaders and tackling some of the nation's toughest challenges, starting right on university campuses. Okay, so to really get what this is all about, we have to start with its central figure. In Kenya, you'll hear the term comrade a lot. Now, this doesn't mean what you might think. It's not a political term in the classic sense. It means something very, very specific. So a comrade is simply a university student, and they're seen as this huge reservoir of future leaders for the country. But here's the thing. This super important group is facing a massive, really complicated set of challenges right now. And this challenge actually has a name: the crisis of the comrade. It isn't just one single problem, it's a crisis built on three issues that are all tangled together, and it's putting a whole generation at a really dangerous crossroads. Think of it like a two-sided trap. On one hand, you've got students who are struggling financially, which makes them really vulnerable to being used, kind of like pawns in political conflicts, especially during intense election seasons. And then on the other hand, even when they do everything right and graduate, they're facing a tough job market, leading to all this frustration and a feeling of having nowhere to go. And then there's a third issue, and this one goes even deeper. Beyond the politics and the economics, there's what's being called an ethical vacuum. This is where things like academic cheating, online scams, and just a get-rich-quick attitude are becoming, well, almost normal. And that kind of erodes the very foundation needed for good leadership. So with a crisis this complex, what's the solution? Well, a new national movement has been designed to tackle it head-on. It's called the Future Leaders Lab. And it's not just another program. It's being framed as a complete reboot of what it means to be a young person in Kenya today. And this is the absolute key. This mission is way bigger than just job training. It's about fundamentally changing the whole mindset of the comrade, from someone who is vulnerable and exploited to someone who is a proactive force for good, a principled, innovative, and peace-driven asset for the entire country. And make no mistake, this is not some small-scale pilot project. The ambition here is massive. The plan is to reach more than 50,000 students in just the first year, and to do it in every single one of Kenya's 47 counties. So how in the world are they going to pull that off? Well, the whole initiative is built on a really comprehensive four-pillar strategy. The idea is to hit the crisis from every single angle, creating a complete framework for this transformation. As you can see, this approach covers everything: governance, business, even tech. But for the rest of this explainer, we're going to zero in on that fourth pillar: peace building and cohesion. Why? Because it's being presented as the most urgent piece of the puzzle, the foundation for national stability. So let's dive into this peace building pillar. It's called the Peacemaker Mandate. And it's not just about stopping fights. It's about proactively building a new kind of psychological strength, or resilience, in Kenya's next generation. This right here is the heart of the mandate. See, the real enemy isn't just violence itself, it's the vulnerability to incitement. So the goal is to build a psychological defense system, like an internal firewall, against the divisive talk that has caused so much conflict in the past. So how do you build that firewall? The training is super practical. This isn't some abstract university lecture. It's focused on four key skills: learning how to communicate without aggression, how to spot and resist propaganda, developing emotional intelligence, and shoring up mental well-being. These are the actual tools that can turn students into active agents of peace. And let's be really clear, the clock is ticking. This initiative has a very direct, very explicit goal: to prevent the kind of youth-led violence that has plagued past elections, with a sharp focus on the upcoming 2027 general elections. Now, to make this whole vision a reality on the ground, the entire plan really hinges on one very specific, very important number: 47. That number represents a plan to build a national infrastructure for peace. The idea is to set up a peace hub in every single county. These hubs will be physical centers for training and, just as important, for inter-ethnic dialogue. It's a way to weave this work right into the fabric of communities all across the nation. Okay, so you've got the training programs and you've got these local hubs, but how does that actually connect to lasting national change? Well, the project lays out a very clear pathway for that, what they call a theory of change that connects all the dots. It all starts with a simple if. If you can successfully arm this critical mass of young people with the right tools,
like nonviolent communication, and give them a new ethical framework, then you start to see a real change in their behavior. They become positive influencers among their friends. They get much better at resisting manipulation, and they start building the kinds of friendships across ethnic lines that break down old divisions. You get this powerful ripple effect that starts on campus and spreads out.
And all of that is designed to lead to a systemic shift in Kenya's entire civic and political world. The big picture results they're aiming for are less violence, more national unity, a fresh pipeline of ethical leaders ready for public service, and maybe most important of all, rebuilding trust between young people and the nation's institutions. So can 50,000 students really secure a nation's future? The Future Leaders Lab is betting that the answer is a resounding yes. It's a gamble that by turning the crisis of the comrade from a problem into a solution, an entire generation can be empowered to write a new, more peaceful story for Kenya.